And summer officially began yesterday, and with rising temperatures, people are sure to be flocking to the area's pools to beat the heat. And while it can be a fun way to cool down, pools can also be a hazard for kids who aren't careful. WVVA spoke with lifeguards in the area today who tell us kids are the most at risk of getting into an accident while swimming in or around the pool. They say bad judgment and excitement can sometimes lead to disaster. That's why they tell parents that the best way to prevent disaster is to know the layout and depth of the pool.
It's important that they know the rules of the swimming pool they're at, and if they're not familiar with the water, they need to be introduced.
Talk to the lifeguard. Find a lifeguard and just simply ask. Lifeguard's going to have all that information.
Setting boundaries with how far kids can go out can also control any potential accidents as well, we're told. And both lifeguards we spoke with stress that if you see someone struggling, you should inform a lifeguard immediately so they can assess the situation.